Okay, let's dive in. Have you ever thought about a business process, something that takes maybe hours or, even days?
Hmm.
Now, what if you could just transform that, completely change it, so it finishes in, like, minutes?
That sounds pretty dramatic.
It is. And that kind of efficiency, well, it changes everything for a company, doesn't it? And frees them up. They can innovate, focus on their customers, on you.
Right. It's a huge advantage. It's actually a big reason why, many top tech companies seem to move so incredibly fast.
Exactly. And that's really what this deep dive is about today. We're looking at how businesses actually achieve that kind of speed up.
Yeah, how they solve some really big operational headaches using strategies from the source material you shared.
And we're going to explore this through a specific story, focusing on Sarah and her jewelry shop, Julie. It's doing well, but Sarah has a bigger vision.
She wants to go online, right? Make it easier for people to buy her stuff from anywhere, maybe even a mobile app.
Precisely. A mobile app sounds great, but there's a catch. Sarah's a jeweler, not a tech whiz. She needs help.
She needs a tech team. And the sources say that's exactly what she does. She finds a tech company to build this for her.
And she meets the main players there. There's Mike, who's like the head of technology.
Okay.
Then Lisa, the project manager. She's keeping everything on track.
Right, managing timelines and tasks.
And Ben. He's the guy in charge of the servers, the infrastructure, basically where the app will actually, live and run.
Got it. So the core team is assembled.
Yep, Sarah hires them. But she's also curious. She wants to understand how you actually build an app. How does this whole thing work?
And the material lays out those typical steps, what's often called the software development lifecycle. It's a kind of roadmap.
A roadmap. Okay, what's on it?
Well, first, you've got to figure out what the app needs to do, the requirements.
Makes sense. Understand the goal first.
Then you plan it all out. After that comes design, how it looks, how it feels, like creating a blueprint.
Ah, okay. Blueprint stage. Then the actual building.
And then the coding, yeah. Writing the software itself, and crucially, testing it. Lots of testing.
Got to make sure it works before it goes live.
Exactly. Then you deploy it, put it online, and finally you have to keep it running, maintain it.
So it's quite a process. Requirements, planning, design, code, test, deploy, maintain.
It is. And the sources highlight that there are different ways to approach this whole sequence. One classic way is called waterfall.
Waterfall? Like water flowing down?
Kind of, yeah. The idea is that each step has to be completely finished before you can even start the next one. You define all the requirements, get them signed off, then you finish the entire plan, then the full design.
So it's very sequential. Step 1, done. Step 2, done. No jumping ahead, no going back easily.
Pretty much. It's structured, quite predictable if you know exactly what you want right from the very beginning.
But the source mentions Sarah had a specific request, didn't she?
She did. She didn't want to wait until the very end to see something. She wanted to see progress, give feedback as they went along.
Right. And that rigid step-by-step waterfall approach, it doesn't really allow for that easily, does it?
Not really. It's hard to change course once you're halfway down the waterfall, so to speak.
Okay, so waterfall wasn't a good fit for Sarah. What did they choose instead?
They went with a different methodology called Agile.
Agile. Sounds faster, more flexible.
That's the idea. Instead of one long chain, Agile breaks the work into smaller pieces, into short, repeated cycles. They often call them sprints.
Sprints, like running short races.
Exactly. Usually just a few weeks long. In each sprint, the team builds a small working part of the app, just a piece of functionality.
Okay, a small working piece. Then what?
Then they show it to the customer, in this case, Sarah. She gets to see it, try it out, give her feedback.
Ah, so she gets that visibility she wanted.
Precisely. And her feedback then influences what the team builds in the next sprint. It's much more adaptive. You can adjust as you learn more.
That sounds much better suited for Sarah's desire to be involved. So they chose Agile.
They did. And the developers, while they embraced it, they started working in these fast sprints, churning out new code quite quickly.
Okay, good progress then.
Initially, yes. Lisa, the project manager, would take the code from a completed sprint.
Right.
And she'd ask Ben's team, the infrastructure guys, to put it onto the testing servers.
So the testers could check it out, find bugs, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Standard procedure. But this is where, according to the source, things started to get tricky.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Well, the testers started reporting problems. Sometimes they couldn't even access the test servers. Other times, they'd get access, but features that seemed fine on the developer's own computer were just completely broken in the test environment.
Oh, that sounds incredibly frustrating. It works on my machine. The classic line.
Exactly that. And when Lisa took these issues back to Ben, the Solver manager, he was often confused. He'd look at his systems, and from his perspective, everything looked okay.
So a disconnect. Things work here, but not there. Why?
The sources really pinpoint the root cause here. Ben's team, the infrastructure folks, they weren't just sitting around waiting for new code.
No, they had other jobs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They were busy keeping all the existing systems running smoothly, for the company's other clients. Stability was their main focus.
Okay, keeping the lights on.
Right. And suddenly, they're getting hit with this constant stream of deployment requests from the development team, thanks to those fast Agile sprints. New code needing testing every few weeks, maybe even faster.
So the speed of Agile development was clashing with the infrastructure team's need for stability and their existing workload.
Precisely. The infrastructure team became a bottleneck. They had their own processes, often manual, focused on careful changes to ensure nothing broke live systems. They just weren't set up for this rapid-fire delivery from the dev team.
So this caused delays.
Yes. Delays, errors during the deployment itself, test environments that weren't quite the same as the developers' machines or the final production servers. It slowed everything down.
And that completely undermines Sarah's goal of seeing fast, regular progress with Agile.
It did. You had the developers trying to go fast, pushing out changes.
And the infrastructure team, focused on stability, acting almost like a brake, even if unintentionally.
Exactly. Not working against each other on purpose, but their goals and processes were just fundamentally misaligned. It created friction, delays, frustration.
Okay, this sounds like a serious problem.
Yeah.
How did they fix it? Did Mike, the tech lead, notice?
He did. Mike saw this pattern, the friction, the delays, and recognized it as a common industry problem. He'd heard about something designed specifically to bridge this gap.
And that was?
DevOps.
DevOps. Okay, the turning point.
Yeah.
So Mike decides this is the way forward.
Yes. He decides they need to adopt DevOps principles, and, importantly, he brings in some outside help, a consultant named Alex who specializes in this.
Right, bring in an expert. So what did Alex do? What is DevOps based on this?
Well, Alex's approach, which really gets to the core of DevOps described in the material, wasn't just about buying a new tool. It was much deeper.
Okay.
It started with changing the culture, getting everyone, developers, and the infrastructure team, Ben's team, to work together. Shared goals, shared responsibility.
Breaking down those silos, basically, getting them talking.
Exactly. Alex ran training. Developers learned about how servers are managed, the concerns around stability, and the infrastructure team learned about Agile, why speed matters, how developers work, building empathy and understanding.
So, better communication, mutual respect. That makes sense.
Right.
But was there more to it?
Oh, absolutely. A huge part of Alex's solution, and central to DevOps, was automation. Automating everything possible in that pipeline from developer to deployment.
Automating what specifically?
Automating the process of taking the code from the developer,
Okay.
building it into something that can actually run, running automated tests to check for errors, and then deploying it onto the servers, test servers, eventually production servers reliably and consistently every single time.
So instead of Lisa asking Ben's team to manually copy files and configure things.
They built automated pipelines. A developer finishes their code, checks it in, and then automated systems take over. Build, test, deploy. Click, click, click.
Wow. So that removes the manual steps, the waiting, the potential for human error during deployment.
Exactly. It dramatically reduced errors. It made the whole process much faster and, crucially, consistent across different environments. No more works on my machine because the automated process built and deployed it the same way every time.
Okay, so they got better communication and heavy automation. What happened to that bottleneck, the delays?
According to the sources, it essentially vanished. The infrastructure team could now handle the fast pace of development because deployments were automated and standardized.
Testing became more reliable too, I imagine.
Much more. Consistent environments meant fewer weird bugs showing up only in testing. The whole flow, from a developer finishing code to it being ready for testing or release, became smooth, fast, predictable.
Which means, back to Sarah, when she wanted to see the latest progress or asked for a change,
the team could deliver it incredibly quickly. What used to take days of coordination and manual work might now take minutes or hours, handled largely by the automated system.
the process just flowed.
Effortlessly is how the source implies it felt afterward. Changes were easy, deployment was easy.
Fantastic. And how did Sarah's story end?
It ends really well. Sarah was thrilled. The online store, the mobile ordering it, was a huge success with her customers.
Right.
Julie successfully expanded online, becoming a seamless part of her business, and it was all enabled by the tech company fixing their internal processes with DevOps.
That's a really clear example of the impact.
It really is. It shows how tackling those internal friction points, the collaboration issues, and then backing it up with smart automation can unlock real business value.
So just to recap the journey here, we started with this common problem. Teams working separately, different priorities, manual steps causing delays and errors, like developers and infrastructure not quite syncing up.
Right, a classic organizational silo problem leading to bottlenecks. And the solution wasn't just a new piece of software, but a fundamental shift.
A shift in culture first.
Yes, fostering collaboration, shared goals, getting development and operations, the dev and ops and DevOps working together.
And then backing that cultural shift with technology.
With automation, yeah. Automating the build, test, and deployment pipeline, taking the manual, error-prone work out of it.
And the result was transforming a slow, clunky process into something fast, reliable, and adaptable.
Exactly. Allowing the business, like Sarah's Julie, to move much faster and meet customer needs more effectively.
Which brings us to a final thought for you listening in. Think about your own work, or maybe even projects you do personally. Where do you see similar kinds of bottlenecks?
Yeah, places where handoffs between different people or different steps slow things down or introduce errors.
Could applying some of these ideas, closer collaboration, maybe automating some of those repetitive tasks, could that transform your process too? Could it turn your days or hours into minutes? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us today.